Every second, over 10,000 Marlboro cigarettes roll off production lines, perfectly packed and ready for sale. But how does a simple tobacco leaf transform into a cigarette found in millions of pockets worldwide? We took a trip inside one of the largest cigarette factories to find out. From raw tobacco to high-speed rolling machines, join us as we explore the incredible process behind how Marlboro cigarettes are made in a factory. Their story starts in 1847, when Philip Morris opened a tiny shop in London selling hand-rolled cigarettes. Then came 1924, and Marlboro hit U.S. shelves. But get this, it was originally a women's cigarette. The ads even bragged about filters that hid lipstick stains, but nobody cared. Then the 1950s happened. Scientists linked smoking to lung cancer, and suddenly filtered cigarettes looked like the safe option. But there was one problem. Real men don't smoke filtered cigarettes. So Philip Morris pulled a genius move. They introduced the Marlboro Man, a rugged cowboy who made filtered cigarettes look tough. Sales exploded overnight. By the 1970s, Marlboro was the best-selling cigarette in the world. They didn't just rely on ads. They dominated sports sponsorships, plastering their name on Formula One, MotoGP, and IndyCar. Even when tobacco ads were banned, they found sneaky ways around it with barcode-style branding. Today, despite bans and health warnings, it is still Philip Morris's top brand, selling billions of cigarettes a year. Love it or hate it, it's one of the most unstoppable brands in history. If you want to know more about how Marlboro cigarettes are made, you've got to start with the star of the show, tobacco. Marlboro doesn't just grab any leaves they can find. They source their tobacco from top-tier farms in the U.S., Brazil, Turkey, and beyond. Why? Because different regions produce different flavors, and blending them just right is the secret to that signature taste. Now, growing tobacco isn't as simple as tossing some seeds in the dirt and waiting. These seeds are microscopic, literally smaller than a grain of sand. So farmers use high-tech seeding machines to carefully place them into trays packed with nutrient-rich soil. But instead of planting them directly in the ground, they're placed in floating water beds inside greenhouses. It's like a 5-star spa treatment for plants. They get just the right amount of moisture while being protected from pests and bad weather. This method, called hydroponic seeding, helps the plants grow strong and healthy without the risk of soil-borne diseases. Once the seedlings hit a few inches high, it's moving day. They're transplanted from their cozy greenhouse trays into open fields, where mechanical planters carefully space them out, making sure each plant gets enough sunlight, nutrients, and room to stretch. Overcrowding is a no-go. Tobacco leaves need space to grow big, bold, and full of flavor. For the next few months, these little tobacco plants are soaking up the sun, while farmers keep a watchful eye. Too much rain? Uh-oh, mold could wreck the crop. Too little rain, the plants could shrivel up. That's where things like irrigation systems and protective covers come in to help keep everything balanced. Pests? Well, they don't stand a chance. Farmers use pesticides and growth regulators to keep things in check. But one of the key moves in the process is topping. That's when they chop off the flowers so the plant can focus all its energy on growing bigger, stronger leaves. More nutrients go into the leaves, which means more flavor and nicotine. After 4 months, when those leaves start turning yellow, it's harvest time. There are 2 ways to go about it. Whole plant harvesting for burley tobacco, where the whole plant gets chopped down at the base, or leaf-by-leaf harvesting for Virginia tobacco, where they only pick the ripest leaves one at a time. But hold on, before tobacco turns into a cigarette, it has to go through the curing process. Not all tobacco gets cured the same way, and that's a big deal when it comes to how a Marlboro tastes. Each method of curing brings out different flavors, and it's these methods that make Marlboro cigarettes, well, Marlboro. Let's talk flue curing first. This is one method for Virginia tobacco, and it's all about getting things done quickly. Instead of letting the leaves dry at their own pace, farmers blast heated air into special barns to speed up the process. It only takes about a week, and the result? Bright yellow leaves that pack a naturally sweet and mild flavor, perfect for mellowing out the taste of a cigarette. Next up is fire curing. This one's intense. Instead of just drying the leaves, they get a good old smoke bath. The tobacco is exposed to smoldering wood smoke, soaking up all those rich, smoky flavors. This method is used for the stronger, bolder tobaccos you usually find in cigars and special cigarettes. Finally, we have sun curing, the old school way. This one's simple. Tobacco leaves are left to dry out under the sun. Oriental tobacco, grown in places like Turkey and Greece, use this method. It gives the tobacco an incredibly aromatic, spicy flavor. While it's not used as the base tobacco, a bit of Oriental is mixed into blends to give that extra depth of flavor. Once the tobacco is fully cured, it's time for the fun part, processing. Huge bales of raw tobacco are sent off to massive facilities where they go through sorting, grading, and blending that ultimately shapes the flavor of every cigarette. First, the bales are opened up and inspected by both workers and high-tech machines. These machines check for things like moisture content, leaf quality, and consistency. After that, the leaves are sorted based on their color, texture, and aroma because these factors all affect the nicotine, how quickly the cigarette burns, and of course, the taste. Only the top quality leaves make the cut. Marlboro uses a strict grading system to make sure that signature taste stays the same every time. So what's the secret to that distinct Marlboro flavor? It's all about the blend. Early tobacco gives it bold, slightly bitter punches, and it's air-cured to keep sugar levels low, giving it a nice, full-bodied smoke. Virginia tobacco is the sweet, smooth counterbalance with its naturally mellow flavor. And then the magic ingredient, Oriental tobacco, adds a little spice and earthiness that rounds everything out. But here's the thing, this isn't just some random mixing. Marlboro has a team of expert master blenders who get the ratios just right, making sure every single pack tastes the same. Whether you're lighting up in New York, London, or Tokyo, the Marlboro you're smoking is going to have the same flavor thanks to decades of perfected blending. At Marlboro, they're not leaving anything to chance. Every batch of tobacco gets a serious inspection before moving on to the next stage. They check things like nicotine levels, sugar content, and pH balance to make sure the final product is just right. Think of it like a taste test at every step. If it doesn't pass, it's either reprocessed or tossed out, no exceptions. A small tweak in the tobacco mix can mess with the taste or how it burns, and that's a big no-no. Next up, the tobacco needs to be reconditioned to the perfect moisture level. Freshly cured tobacco can be super dry and brittle, which makes it impossible to handle, so they give it a little boost with steam and a fine mist of water to soften it up. But here's the tricky part. If it gets too wet, it could mold, and too dry, it will crumble. That's why Marlboro uses super precise humidity controls to make sure it's just right every time. And while they're at it, they throw in some flavors and additives to enhance your smoking experience. Now we're talking. Once the tobacco hits the right moisture level, it's shredded into thin strips called cut rag. These strips are perfectly sized for smooth packing into each cigarette. High-speed cutting machines are constantly working, processing thousands of pounds of tobacco every hour, turning it into perfectly even ribbons. It's all about consistency. Marlboro's got it down to an art. If you're learning a lot from this video so far, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Now let's get to the fun part, the final touch-ups. Marlboro uses a handful of ingredients, more than 600 are approved for use, to perfect the taste and burn of every cigarette. Sugar helps balance out any bitterness, giving the smoke a nice smoothness. Menthol, for those who like a cool hit, adds that refreshing twist. Glycerin and propylene glycol are used to keep the tobacco moist and fresh, making sure the cigarettes don't dry out. And ammonia compounds? They help the nicotine hit harder and faster. These ingredients are mixed together in giant drums, ensuring that every cigarette delivers the same smooth experience no matter where you buy it. Then it's showtime in Marlboro's super speed factories. These machines are insane, cranking out up to 20,000 cigarettes per minute. Seriously, that's fast. Here's how it works. A giant roll of cigarette paper stretching a ridiculous 7,000 meters gets fed into the machine. The paper is specially treated with chemicals that control how fast or slow it burns. The paper wraps around the shredded tobacco, creating a long, continuous rod of tobacco goodness. Now that long rod gets sliced into individual cigarettes, and each one is measured for length, weight, and density to ensure it's a perfect smoke every time. Marlboro doesn't leave it to chance either. Large sensors scan each cigarette for any imperfections. Alright, now that the cigarettes are cut, it's time for the finishing touch, the filter. Those filters are made from cellulose acetate, which sounds pretty fancy, but it's basically just a synthetic fiber made from wood pulp. These filters are made separately, then carefully attached to each cigarette on the assembly line. Next, the filters get wrapped in tipping paper, that khaki-colored stuff that connects the filter to the tobacco. This paper was actually inspired by cork, which was the original filter material back in the day. The tipping paper also has tiny perforations that let in a little air, making each puff smoother and less harsh. Before they're ready to go, the cigarettes go through one last quality check. Super high-tech laser sensors and scanning systems make sure every single cigarette is perfect. If something's off, it gets sent back to be fixed. Nothing gets past these machines. Once they pass inspection, the cigarettes are packed into boxes. Most Marlboro packs have 20 cigarettes, though in places like Ireland, some packs might have 33, thanks to some local marketing strategies. To keep everything fresh, each pack gets a foil lining and a plastic seal that locks in moisture to keep out contaminants. This whole process is done by robots, making it fast and efficient. Then tax stamps are slapped on, health warnings added, and the packs are good to go. Now the packs are ready for their final journey, distribution. They're packed into cartons and loaded onto pallets, heading out to retailers worldwide. Despite all the rules and regulations about advertising, Marlboro is still a top seller. In 2024, Philip Morris produced over 600 billion cigarettes, with Marlboro making up the lion's share. Marlboro isn't just about traditional cigarettes anymore, it's got its sights on the future. As smoking rates drop because of health concerns and stricter laws, Philip Morris is starting shifting toward new tech, like heated tobacco products. That's where the next product comes in, IQOS, a device that heats tobacco instead of burning it, creating an aerosol instead of smoke. It's marketed as a smoke-free alternative. But don't be fooled, these products still pack nicotine and other chemicals, which raises some big health questions for the future. But hey, Marlboro's legacy isn't just built on what's inside the pack, it's all about marketing. Remember the Marlboro Man? That campaign turned the brand into a symbol of rugged masculinity and freedom. Over the years, Marlboro also dominated motorsports, partnering with teams like Ferrari and McLaren in Formula One. Even after the rules on tobacco sponsorships tightened up, Marlboro wasn't ready to fade away. Instead, they got creative with barcode branding and subliminal advertising, keeping the brand linked to speed and performance. Despite fewer people smoking, the tobacco industry is still a multi-billion-dollar machine. Philip Morris continues to pump out traditional cigarettes on a massive scale, while also sinking money into those smoke-free products. But with smoking-related diseases claiming more than 8 million lives every year, the future of cigarettes is looking a little unclear. So will Marlboro continue to reign supreme? Or are we moving into a world where cigarettes are a thing of the past? Only time will tell. If you found this video interesting, check out the next one for more insights on how everyday products are made. The video we posted before this one might just surprise you.